off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Greetings, refiners. We are here to recap Severance, episode 4. Episode 4 is season 2, by the way. There are 2 seasons, just in case you didn't know. But episode 4 was hollow. It's hollow. Like hollow.
Hollow.
Yes. I don't know why I said hollow. I was thinking like Halloween, but no, it's hollow. Excuse me. My apologies. But yeah, as we normally do, we're going to introduce, our lovely panel here today and jump into general impressions. Joe, how's it going?
It is great. I love this episode, and John Turturro deserves an Emmy. So there we go.
Yeah, long overdue. I can't remember if he won one or not for the night of, but if he didn't, let this be his makeup. So, D, how's it going?
See, you learned nothing from last week. He's still introducing the white man first. I'm fine.
We're in Black History Month.
Again,
Look,
he's
I'm
learned
just going in
nothing.
order.
Nothing. He's
I am
learned
just going in
absolutely
order
nothing.
of who appears.
You get to add a white person to the podcast for the first time in years, and
Just forget all about my contributions. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's fine.
Okay, all right.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. Happy Super Bowl. Good luck to your people. Your Eagles. Good luck to those peoples.
Yeah,
you liked them before Jalen, right? This has been your team forever.
Yeah, so I started liking the Eagles around like 5th grade, but
Okay.
Yeah, so even before that, like Randall Cunningham was my favorite quarterback, but I didn't correlate player with team because I had like Randall Cunningham pluses in my room. But yeah, I've always liked the Eagles. Yeah. I could talk ad nauseum about, the Eagles and how it would be great if they won their second Super Bowl and third appearance 8 years. I could talk about that all the time and how the Cowboys haven't been to one since 1996, but I will spare everyone and we will jump straight into the episode. So I want to talk a bit about, in my general impressions, what I brought up last week about is this show moving too fast too soon, and I kind of got a yes and a no at the same time. So there's one thing that was revealed in this episode that I wasn't expecting to be revealed so soon, but at the same time, I feel like it's kind of doing like the mystery shows of the past, where it's like every time I give you a new mystery to solve, like you still have to wonder how this connects to the larger one, and the larger one isn't going to be revealed anytime soon. So I have worries? Not really. I'm just kind of like curious to know how it's going to play out. I am still guided by, Kier's wizened hands as we watch the show. But just from like a technical standpoint of this episode and knowing how they had to create this episode by basically airlifting things into the national forest so they won't damage the national forest, like this was an intensely difficult episode to make, and it was I could tell that it was a tough episode to make for the cast and crew, and they got it done. Bit of a weird episode, and that's all I'll say for now because I want to save some stuff for later. But yeah, I'm not afraid of where we're going. I'm just like, how do we get there? So yeah.
What's the bigger mystery to you guys? Like, what do you say? Because you're like every time they reveal something, they open another door. What's the big overall question that you want answered for the show? Is it what are they doing? What is the point?
Yeah, what are they
That's the
doing?
biggest mystery. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just checking. Yeah.
For me, there's kind of like a side question of like actually how powerful is Lumon as well, because like we kind of have like a little inkling of like what they're doing, but it's also like when I was huffing the Reddit threads again. I'm terrible at this. They were wondering like if this was like a VR simulation and it was in the Lumon building, or if it was like actually like outdoors, and like how does Lumon own this property and stuff like that. It was very I don't know. It's like how powerful is Lumon?
I think they own the property. I'm confident in saying they own it.
Yeah.
See,
I
this
didn't
this is
think
why
it
we
was any
brought Joe
VR.
into the fold, because he anticipates where I'm gonna take this, and like a host we have in the past, namely DeAndre McNeedus, but he knows where I
Child,
was going next because
excuse me. I just want y'all to know, in the past, if I was petty, I would go back to every past broadcast we've done and see how many times he's like, you know what? Nice segue, nice segue, nice segue, because I know what I'm doing. But you know, the white man
I,
gets on here and you just
I
lose
do
your
not.
mind.
I don't recall, but as I was saying, I wanted to pose the question to y'all, and I think I kind of hear your answers already. Option A is that they never left the severed floor, and this is kind of like a VR experience. Option B, they are actually dropped into a forest that Kier owns, and I
I'm taking
think,
B.
Yeah.
yeah, same for me. And I think with a show like this, it's kind of easy to be like dubious of like what's in front of your eyes. But I think this is one situation where it's like, no, what you see is actually what you get. And I think they are actually in the forest because it lends to the story.
Hmm.
Dieter here. And basically what they are trying to impart in the employees by telling them the history of this forest, the history of what's going on.
The world's
So
largest waterfall.
yeah, that too, which is
What was it like? Maybe like 20, 15 feet tall. Like how?
yeah,
It wasn't very long. That's the point, though.
yeah,
Like you're standing next to it, and you could probably like touch the top. But whatever. They don't even know what wind is, though. So you gotta just
yeah.
give it to them.
Well,
Go ahead, Joe, because I think we're about to go the same way, but go ahead.
well, what I was gonna say is that like the reason I don't think it's like a VR experience like in the Lumen building or anything is because like the episode begins with Irving literally just on this ice. So I
Mhm.
feel like they were all just kind of dropped randomly within this like forest or whatever because like Mark's up here and then they have to find Helena and then Dylan and like they're all just kind of like lost. But they dropped them like close enough to where like they could like get together.
And their Audi had to be dropped there. They
I
had to be,
think
right?
so.
Like the Audi had,
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
dressed, they're ready to go. So their Audi
Mm.
had, and they have to assume and get permission from their Audi to take them. So their Audi is dropped in this frozen forest, and then that's it. Which will probably work so that when Irvin wakes up, he won't be totally freaked out.
Yeah, because it's almost like probably communicate with the Audi like, hey, this is going to be a work retreat. Do you consent? By the way, of course you consent because you're a Lumen employee. But um, we're going to put you here. Here are your clothes. You're going to go there, and then we're going to activate your innie. Probably how it goes. But yeah. So basically, this episode is kind of like the baby of like one tiny idea from the creator Dan Erickson, which is like, how would it play out if their Annie just woke up in the middle of nowhere? So we see Irving wake up, John Turturro's character just wake up in the middle of the ice, and like you said, yeah, they all have to find each other, and we quickly realize what the mission is. It's like it's like a team building exercise. It's a team building exercise, and basically there's something that they're supposed to get out of this at the end. And the reason why I probably had like such a visceral reaction to this episode, because if there's one thing I hate the most in office culture is team building exercises. I leave them hating my teammates more. So yeah, as I was watching this episode, I was like,
It's supposed to make you bond,
no,
love each other,
no,
support each other,
You just
all
no,
always
that
end up
jazz.
finding out things you don't want to know.
no, right. I'm like, oh, you're a bigger idiot than I even thought. Like, yeah, like this critical thinking exercise. Oh, wow, you should not have been hired here. But yeah, so the
This
reason, and
actually
going
turned
back
into a really good team building exercise, though, right?
for some,
Okay.
not
Okay.
for others, but for some.
Okay.
But yeah, one point I quickly wanted to make, and Joe, I know you brought up digging at the Reddit weeds for answers, but the reason why I think they were really in the woods the most is because we are now showing you like the full like indoctrination of like Kier, Egan, and Lumen, and like quite literally like dropping you in the darkness and you having to find your way to light. Essentially, I feel like we're seeing like the full like propaganda of Lumen throughout this episode, namely just starting from the jump. Dieter Egan, which is, I want to ask you both, based on the story, do you think there is actually a twin there? Because I have my thoughts that I'll connect to this. No, D, what do you think?
Excuse me. I was wondering if the link between like the twins inspired the whole severed process, right? Because you're two people, but you're one. And you know how a lot of twins have said that they can feel each other's emotion, they can tell when they're in pain and all that jazz. So I'm wondering if Kier was just, is it more bipolar? It would be schizophrenic, right? If he's got two personalities.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
schizophrenia. So I'm wondering if he was just schizophrenic and he just, the bad things that he did may have been Dieter and then he's Kier, but they're just one person. I don't know if they're two. I mean, it could be, but I'm not sure I buy that there was two of them.
Yeah, I don't think that. And the reason I don't is because I feel like this is almost a like Lumen-esque parable about like conquering like your wilder side to become one with like both sides of you. So yeah, it's almost like propaganda to like, hey, you have to control the urges of your outie to become your best enemy, in my opinion. Like that's what I gathered from this story.
And the other reason for why I was like, yeah, no, I think this story is all bullshit is the very first episode of the season where they were telling Mark like, yeah, you guys did this thing, and they had a newspaper with all the innies like doing a parade and stuff like that, and I was like, this is just state media.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so we're all agreeing as one.
So yeah, I think we're all agreeing that this based on the story is just one person, but once again, this is like just propaganda, and we kind of know it's a fraudulent story based on the reaction of a certain person, which was I think one of our first clues to our inevitable end. Like she just started laughing hysterically.
And she just lost it for real. It felt sincere too, like she had been holding it in, and she was just like, okay, I just cannot deal with this anymore. And you think maybe she allowed herself to just let it out because she can, if any powers that be questioned her, she could always just be like, oh, I was just pretending to be Helly. But that wasn't Helly though. That was Helena. That was her like sincere. I can't believe y'all are still telling this story because this is crap. Full out crap.
It's kind of like when you go, and I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but you go on a tour of like a historical site, and there's like maybe like a plaque or something on the wall that reads something very dignified about this person, but the docent or the tour guide tells you like, oh yeah, I'm actually like his niece and none of this is true.
No.
It's like it was almost like that type of like reaction, like, yeah, this is such bullshit. Yeah.
Almost like this is what y'all are telling them. This is insane. Yeah. Did you think she forgot? She may have forgotten for a second too that she wasn't supposed to.
Because yeah, would she like really know like the granular details of what's being told to the innies on the seventh floor?
Because she's so far up, like there's no way that she's ever seen this.
Exactly. That was exactly my thinking.
Gosh, it's hard to like her. We'll get into it, but it's just, I just want to strangle her.
So every show we review, Dee finds a person that she just absolutely hates and wants to eradicate.
Everybody needs a nemesis. It's essential. It helps. Like maybe it's my outie or any, whichever one. One of them needs hate, right? And if I give that person all the hate, I can be a good person, to people that count. I can hate fictional characters, and that way the hate is released somewhere. I think it's therapeutic.
So your work perk is very easy because it's just hate. Like they don't even have to like manifest anything tangible. Just like, oh yeah, give her some more hate. Like give her some more hate out the vending machine. Yeah.
Give her. I have so many. I hate her more than Milchick. That's the craziest thing. I do.
Mr. Milchick from work.
Yeah, I know. What? Thank you. Because who else would he be? It was just weird to me that he said specifically Mr. Milchick from work. Because I'm like, was that a reminder to Helly that he's not Seth, that he's Mr. Milchick, or
it was
what? Because I did notice that she slipped like immediately. She was like, "Screw all this nonsense, Seth. Do it. Yes, do it, Seth." Oh, I love him so much. Gosh. See how it balances?
It reminded me of 30 Rock when Tracy sees somebody outside of work and he's like, "Hey guys, it's Tracy from work." And it's like, we already know it's you.
Who else would you be? Yeah. But yeah, that was strange. The whole video was odd because it was unsettling in a way. It was almost like he was threatening them without the words. I don't know. He's just an odd duck anyway, but I don't know. Anyway, like I said, villains that smile are already weird. Like they it's uneasy, and he plays it very well. He's doing a good job. He really is.
Yeah, he does. He's a phenomenal actor, and yeah, so I know I asked last week what I wonder what they're going to do with his character, and we kind of get an answer here because all right, so think about it. This is a team building exercise, but from the very first step, you have basically insubordination. You got to throw the marshmallows in the fire because marshmallows only for team players. You get insubordination. You get some extracurricular activities on the clock that aren't supposed to happen on the clock. And by the way, the people involved are like interesting. And not only that, at the end of this team building exercise, you witness basically an heir to the company, getting basically strangled under the water. So yeah, not a great thing for Mr. Milchick. And I was wondering how like that thing last week would come into play with the whole like introduction that he's possibly like a token character to say the least. But I think this is how it's going to come into play. They're gonna be like, yeah, so too many things happen under your watch. And hey man.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get rid of the DE&I, are we?
I'm so glad you brought this up because I had a thought last night and then I went to go do something else and I forgot about it. And that was the thought that I had was like, he has now shown on several occasions that like he might not be cut out for this job, which I think is going to lead us back to Cobell being brought back.
Is there something to say about the fact that they don't respect him as much? Like, could that be a part of it? Could it be in like a bias?
So I'll say this, and this isn't me taking up for him, but when you look at what he's been giving and what he's been asked to do, that's kind of like putting him in a bad position in the first place because both Joe and D, if your boss came to you like, oh yeah, the daughter of the owner of the company, they're in your department now, have fun. Yeah, both of you are gonna be like, yeah. So I think, and once again, not taking up for him because he's obviously a piece of shit too. But I think what he was given, he was kind of like set up to fail from the jump. So yeah.
Well, because the insubordination kind of started with Harmony, right? So they kind of pushed. It's almost like how your kids push a little bit, and the more they get away with, the more they push. That's almost the same thing. They're like children almost, and they're pushing to see how far they can go. And then they pushed effectively Harmony out. Like, okay, she's gone. So and then I won't say nothing happened, but almost, it's like nothing happened. So now Milchick's there, and they're like, okay, well, we'll just push him too. You'll see, and now the break room's gone, so
no more break room.
So there's less reason to get in line because there's no, like, I guess, real consequence. Not beating them anymore.
Yeah, not putting their hands into the thing and making sure that it's almost like that was the quick aside. That made me think about Dune, where the Bene Gesserit push your hand into the box and they're like, like you have to like fear is the mind killer, and then you come out and you're like knuckles are bruised. Yeah, that thing from the first season that made me think about that. But so the second clue that, and I'm jumping around a bit, but who cares? I feel like this episode is so linear that there are things I want to pick out, like maybe out of order. But the second clue that things might not be what they seem when one member of the team is when there's a character walking through the woods, Haley R, at least as we know her, and then Irv says like, "Hey kid, hey kiddo," and then there's no response, which is like, of course, like we've established already when he says, "Hey kids," what's the thing that follows is like, "What's for dinner?" And yeah, so that was the second thing that, because he was already skeptical as they were, meeting up with the rest of the team, because he asked her like, "Hey, like, so what happened? What did you say happened once you woke up?" So that was the second thing to like kind of like let us know that something was happening. But this kind of like brought up an interesting thing, because I want to see where they go now with like the team, because we know Dylan kind of isolated himself, but like Mark and Haley are kind of like together, and there's like no Irving. So like, do we start to see a divide in the team here?
I want to say my thing now.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna like it because I don't like it, but I have to say it. Being that Haley and Mark had sex, that's not a good thing. Like, that is a very bad thing that happened. There's a word for it I don't want to use, so I'll just say
No,
sexual
that
assault.
this was exactly
Because
my take. It's a body
yeah,
autonomy issue. Yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah, because Mark was under the impression that he was being intimate with Haley R. Haley R. Man, Helena knew fully that not only was she not who he thought he was, she was pretending to be somebody else. And that brings back the twin thing, because if anybody has a question about it, like, well, she's still the same person and stuff, blah 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 blah, but like, no, she's not. She just looks like her. So it would be like if you had a twin and you didn't tell your significant other, or your significant other didn't know, or even if they did know, but your twin was pretending to be you. It's the same thing. So it's like, I don't like that at all. Like, that's why I was wondering why I felt icky when they had sex, but that's why, because I'm like, immediately, not this. Like, I don't like it, and I knew it was coming to it, and it's weird to me because I think we've been talking since the beginning, because we always knew that was her, and I'm realizing now that not everybody put that together, which is fine. Like, I'm not saying we're better than anybody, whatever. But I'm just saying, since we had decided that that was her, I've been looking at her as the outie the whole time anyway.
Yep.
So it just didn't, it just gave me the ick, period. And then like she gave herself away because her ego really killed it. Because not even when she said the cruel thing about Bert to Irving, it was when Irving was like, well, what did you see? He was like, it won't change anything. And she was like, Irving, almost like, hey, stop. And then her face changed and she was like, okay. See, and that was Helena, almost like, who are you to keep questioning me? That's enough. It's not, like again, when you tell your children, you're like, hey,
Knock that off.
Hey.
yeah, hey, okay. And that's exactly the thing she gave. And I'm like, if anybody had any question before now, that should have been a dead giveaway right there. Her whole face changed. Credit to your girl, the actress Britt did a great job, because it was almost like she was in the elevator. You know how they go from one to the other. Her whole demeanor, everything went away. And then on the other hand, when they were in the forest, when he was already just like, all right, like, pretty much, girl, I know it's you. What's going on? And she was just like, I'm right here. I'm like, see, don't go the other way. Like, she couldn't switch to sincere because she's not. And I think still a part of her almost wants to be like, you don't get to question me. She wanted to say it so badly, but she couldn't because she's supposed to be Helly. So anyway, the whole point is, with the two of them, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I was very glad that Irvin called her out, or called both of them out, especially when he was like, you're just, having your fun while your Annie's wife rots away. I was like, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Like, goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
I mean,
And I didn't
he's
like the
not
fact
wrong.
that they piled up on him. Like, Dylan, I'm like, hey, I know you got your conjugal visits and stuff, and you got stuff that you're working towards. But Mark, I don't want to give him grace for that either, because it's still this. it's been Irvin, Dylan, and Mark from day one.
Yeah.
And then Helly comes in, and then y'all let her make you question Irving of everybody. I didn't like that at all. Like, it really pissed me off.
Now that you bring that up, I was wondering why that scene felt very awkward, and now that you mention it, that it was like the flip flop, I was like, oh. I do want to mention one thing, and we talked about cinematography before and how this is a beautifully shot thing, but the juxtaposition of Helena and Mark doing their act compared to what she said about Irving being alone because of Bert, and then they just keep flipping back and forth to Irving being lost in the forest. I just like I watched that probably like 4 or 5 times. I've kept rewinding it back just to like see that because I was like, this is phenomenal storytelling right here.
Oh, the other thing you mentioned, Milchick. That's what I wanted to bring up too. They had the insubordination. They had to throw the marshmallows away, and he almost let Irvin freeze to death. What was he doing?
Yeah, just
What was he
not
doing?
letting him pain,
Because
obviously.
I was concerned because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna die. Like he's gonna. Don't fall asleep. I think everybody knows that if you're cold, you're not supposed to fall asleep. So I was like, oh no, not like this. Like not like this. Please get up. So when he didn't die, I was very happy. But it's like, did he almost have like a Kier experience? Because that was Woe, the woman that he saw, right?
So
He saw Bert, and then Woe, and then something in the numbers. I don't know what he was seeing in the numbers.
So in my opinion, this episode reveals something that's like very critical to how we think about severed persons, which is that previously we thought they didn't sleep. We see they sleep in every meaning of the word, but no, they sleep. But not only do they sleep, they have dreams. And I think we kind of get a bit of insight into Irving and how he possibly sends messages to his innie, because in that dream when he was seeing the scary numbers, and he met Woe, like he was looking at the scary numbers, like they kind of like let him know, like, hey, like your suspicions are right, like this is indeed like this is Helena Egan, this isn't Helly R. So I think this episode, in addition to that big reveal, kind of like gave us information about how he may have been transferring messages to himself. Because if I'm not mistaken, in season 1, when he sees the black goo, like, didn't he kind of like nod off at his desk?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think
Because
that's
he
how
has to
he's
go to
transporting.
Weldis.
That's how he's transporting messages to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes, we talked about it before, why he's pounding coffee and listening to heavy metal music at night. He's trying to get that message to the innie, and the only way to do that is through the innie going to sleep. So he's not letting on to how much he really knows about this stuff. So it makes me wonder if like he's working with somebody else, or if like he's just like part of the resistance that wants to take Lumon down, or I think we're gonna get some answers about that before the end of the season.
I think it's his outie though. That's the thing. I don't think his innie's aware. So it's outie. Yeah, his 100% working with somebody. And I'm not against it being Ragabi. I think it might be her, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not too convinced that it's like it wouldn't be anyone other than Ragabi. I think it has to be.
Well, and that's maybe why she's told Mark, like, oh, I'm much better at this now, because maybe she reintegrated him. But we also, because how much of when I'm watching John Turturro's performance, he is Innie Irving, but also I feel like there's some of Outie Irving leaking into him.
I think that's why they showed us when Seth came to his house. He was like, "Oh, what did I eat in there?" I think that was on purpose, like to show that they're still one again. They're two but one, but maybe more so than we thought before. Like you said, maybe he has been reintegrated. He's just both. I don't know.
So also to that point, I want to go back to another character, because I think we also have a reveal that which we know might be confirmed by like the parable of like conquering like your wild side. I think we kind of see that yeah, like innies and outies are like one and the same. Like how can they not be, as much as like we try to pretend that they aren't? And I think we kind of see that through Helly, because yeah, there's no reason why, an heir to a large corporation and an executive should have a thing for a floor manager. But like Dee said in our first recap, as she was watching that video, like she immediately felt it. So I think it shows that, you know they're one and the same. And yeah, I think that's what it's trying to show us. Like no matter how much your innie and outie are different, there's still like a little bit of that in there. And I think that was the point of this indoctrination. Like, hey, you have to conquer that side to become your innie, which is like almost like an erased or like condensed version of yourself. But yeah, I think there's definitely something there with that as well.
What are they gonna do now? Because if it were me and I had this evil corporation, because Lumen's evil now in my mind, whatever. I had this evil corporation. As soon as they took the block off and everybody got comfortable and knew that was Helly, I would have turned it right back on. I would turn it right back on.
Yeah.
So it could be her again. So now, okay, sure, that's what happened, because there is no good thing that can come out of Helly R being awake again. Nothing at all. And I just want to turn it. I mean, I'm just saying, I want to turn it back on. I'm glad.
And that's why I think like when Dylan and Mark are like seeing this unfold, I think that it's going to bring more distrust to them, like with wanting to continue like the mission of like, hey, we got to bring this shit down.
Distrust with her or with Lumen?
With Lumen.
Okay. I want to say, as far as distrust, shout out to John again. This is the John appreciation episode. We just want y'all to know, because he was great. But I want to say that I'm so happy that they had him say, well, what happened? And he's like, it won't change anything. Because my thought was bullshit. Like, because it has to. Like, it has to. But the way he pulled her out of that water when he realized it was her and immediately started apologizing, I was like, damn, maybe it wouldn't. Like, he really does love her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't, because I'm thinking, how can you not still see her? But he did this. It's legit. Like, he saw another person and he was just so happy that she was back. And I'm like, well, maybe it really wouldn't change anything, like he said, because it's not the innie's fault. And that's who he knows. Like, whoever, like she said before, is different. Now, Mark, I don't care who you are out there. I just care who you are with me. I'm like, stand up, Mark. Stand up. Because this is a lot. Like, you should care who she is. You should.
Mark is just like, and with, to your point on that, I feel like Mark has been very, now that he's reintegrated, and we see the little flip of that, which I thought was great. But he's been depressed, anxious, sad, all of that. And it's weird to see him like trying to move on from his wife and doing it, but also still like wanting to like find his wife. It's a
his
very
Audi's
weird
wife.
scenario. Yeah, his Audi's wife. It's
so
a very
weird to say, yeah.
weird scenario there.
Because it's almost like he's finally doing something for his innie without regard to another life at all. Like, this is my life and I'm taking control of mine.
Because I was going to say, like, the way I'm reading that is like his innie is almost like, I'm helping this guy out. And at the same time, his innie knows that he has this woman that he loves. And while it might be beneficial to, it might be beneficial to his outie to find, Gemma / Miss Casey, his innie still wants, that. So even though it's like the separation of, like, although we say like, they're still one and the same, like that's where you can kind of see the separation of the two people, because he's like, yeah, I want this, he was like, I'm going to help this guy on the outside out, but I still want this. Also, I want to ask you too, during that scene, and I know D, you're probably like, did you notice what they did with the colors there? Because
the red,
it went to red, yeah, which is usually associated with Audi. So that was another visual clue that that was Helena and not Helly.
Nice.
The light from the the
Yeah,
heater on the
the
inside.
heater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't. Good catch, you guys. That's great. I want to add to your. He's helping this guy out. They did it also when he met with Ragabi when he was about to blind himself.
Mhm.
she was like, okay, you get the message in. How is he supposed to get the message back to you? And he was like, well, that's his problem. And I'm like, wow, they are
Yeah.
really two different people. This is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. hmm
Like this is insane, and they are effectively two different people.
hmm
It's crazy. I don't know.
Also, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go
the,
ahead, Joe.
The way that I was going to describe it is like I used to be a radio personality for a long time, and I have always been this shy and kind of like anxious person, and I don't really like want a bunch of attention and stuff like that. But when I was on the radio, it was flipped. It was the complete opposite. Like I was playing this character basically. Like it was like a
Sasha
whole other
Fierce.
personality. And so when I watch Severance, I'm kind of like I'm looking at that as like these. I think we all have two different people inside of us at different times, and seeing stuff like this play out it's very interesting.
Now I'm picturing you as Bulldog from Frasier.
Right.
But no, I wanted to say one thing with that. I will reveal a tiny chunk out of like the theory that I told you to avoid because it might ruin you. So could it be possible that Helena Egan is a bit of a screw up on the outside, a little bit of a wild child, and this entire thing is a PR thing, but because her ties are to like this famous company, this famous corporation, like she has to be this person she doesn't really want to be. And I kind of mentioned this on like episode like the first recap of episode 1 before we even saw it. Her real self is closer to her innie than it is to her outie, and that's why she kind of like this episode she kind of like leaned into that because she was like, yeah, this is kind of like freeing to be this person. And she's kind of like abandoning her own mission because it was quite freeing to be that person and not have to be Helena. So yeah, I do think there's something there with that. Yeah.
So she's on the outside. She's Kendall Roy. Got it.
I buy
Essentially,
it.
yeah.
I buy it too because we mentioned, but she doesn't do well going from trying to be sincere, right? Like she can flip off the Haley character and slip into Helena easily, but it doesn't work the other way. But she did it when she was in her moment of clarity that a lot of us are familiar with. She was lying there. And he was like, well, really, what did you see? Because now Mark is like, well, something's going on. Because I think still deep down he knows Irvin ain't just nuts. And then she says, I don't like who I was out there. I think that was honest. Like, I think that was just her being like, I would rather be this person that y'all know in here than who I really am. And I'm not sure if he had given her a little more time, if she had told him, because she looked like she was thinking about it. And then he cut her off and was like, I don't care who you are.
She was
right. Heard a woman at work, got you pussy whooped. Reverse it. Sorry. Okay, anyway.
But yeah.
R.I.P. John Witherspoon.
Yeah, R.I.P. But yeah, but no, I definitely agree with all of that because it was quite reckless for her to even mention that part. I didn't like who
Big
I
time.
was on the outside because now once to quote Shogun, once Mark gets away from his golden moment, as they call it, or moment of the stars, I think they call it, he's gonna realize, he's gonna be like, what does she mean she doesn't like who she was out there? And then now like he sees what that means because we see what happens at the end of the episode.
How betrayed does he feel? Because again, this isn't just your outie came in to blow up or be a mole. You literally affected me personally outside of everything else. You betrayed something I had with Helly, a connection. You've taken that and distorted it, and now I know, like I said, they had the moment where they were just happy to see her, but at what point do they always question which one she is?
I mean, you have to constantly question which
Constantly,
one she is,
right? So it can't go back. What do we do now?
Like,
And I want
or
to say, shout
establish
out.
some code or something. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, something, but I don't know what. But shout out to the writers because again, we kept saying I don't know how long they're gonna keep this whole mystery about whether it's her or not, and they were like, "Hey, we got it," because they did a good job.
Episode
I had
4.
no idea how it was gonna play out, but
Mm-hmm.
now we see. But now again, like you said, the new mystery is what happens now. I wouldn't trust her ever again.
You can't.
How
You
can
just
you?
can't.
No, you can't. No.
How can you? I don't
And
know.
therefore, can you trust Mark now?
See?
Mm.
Making Google eyes. And now Dylan, I think, is going to be probably more hurt than anybody because he didn't listen to Irvin like he should have, And
Yeah.
there has to be a part of him that thinks, well, are Mark and Helly in this together?
Yeah, because Dylan heard that tent shaking. He knows what's up.
Oh, he know. He know. Felt the extra heat.
How much of this do you think Lumon had a hand in to disband this group and get Mark back onto Cold Harbor?
I think they had a lot of. I think their plan was to disband the group 100% because they brought a whole nother team, and this could definitely do it because they were trying to sow discord anyway with the conjugals because they told Dylan not to say anything. They just weren't looking at Irvin. That's the problem. Like the person they should have been watching is the one they just let go unchecked because I guess they thought he was so depressed that he wouldn't be a problem, but he was the one they should have been watching. So I think now, though, this is going to be a problem because now Dylan's, like I said, going to feel away with Irvin gone. I think all of them will care, but I'm not sure they'll be as affected as Dylan is because I think he's also going to feel some guilt for not listening or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll hold on because Irvin told him to.
But yeah, Joe, to answer your question, to circle back to a previous comment, so I think the initial intent was to put Helena in there to suppress Haley, but also to kind of like gather information. What happened was a kind of a mishap. So if they need to, and we already know they need to finish Cold Harbor. They need to finish Cold Harbor. But the team will probably lose their shit. Even though they're a splintered team now, they would lose their shit if they knew for sure Helena was put in there. So Haley is definitely going to be there going forward. But to your earlier point, who can supervise, Heliar, who did a better job than Milchick did, probably. Yeah, that's probably
Harmony.
Cobell, which means Helena on the outside might have to eat shit and say okay, Harmony, Cobell, you're back on the 7th floor.
You're right. We do need you. I don't know. Would she trust them though? Is Harmony gonna trust them? Because again, they were about to take my girl somewhere. She didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So does she even trust them enough to go? Her ego might, again, because we were talking about her ego too last week and how she really wants to see it through. So it might allow for her to go back. Well, I won't say even allow. It may be the catalyst to push her to go back.
I knew you would come crawling back.
Exactly. And then her being able to see that Milchick couldn't do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because that might not even be a black-white thing. That might be also a sexless thing.
Yeah.
This man, y'all brought this man in here to do my job, and now, look at you. And it could be a racist thing too. I just don't want her to be racist because I don't want anybody to be racist, but she could be. I don't know.
I get some of that at play here. Yeah, I'm picking up on a little. Yeah,
picking up
a little of those vibes. Yeah,
because she didn't like what's her name? The one that's always on the board. What's her name? Natalie. She didn't like Natalie. Yeah. I didn't like Natalie either, though. Just to be honest, because out this right here, don't do that. Don't do that, especially when I'm talking.
We're gonna be moving some furniture.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't know. So, grand scheme. What was Milchick doing? What were him and Miss Wong doing while they were?
Miss Wong was playing the hell out of that theremin.
She was getting down.
She's doing that. She's practicing. But when Irving left, that's what I'm saying. But see, my thing is Irving left and didn't come back. So it's one thing to give your people space to do, whatever. But he left and didn't come back and could have died. And he was calling for him at one point. He was actually, when he was walking through the forest, he was looking for him, and they didn't respond.
I'm laughing because it's almost like you know how they go behind the scenes of shows like Survivor and stuff, and they're like, yeah, the producers are like sleeping in the trailer while the contestants are out there
eating steak and
They were
lobster,
they were in the house like drinking the hot cocoa while this is
Yup.
eating them
going
damn
on.
marshmallows. That's what they were
Yup.
doing. But so yeah, I'm just curious. It's like, and I think again that might be a problem now. Well, I was gonna say, are they gonna blame him? But of course they're gonna blame him, because why not? They're not gonna blame Helena, but they might. I don't know.
Nah, they're gonna blame
They're gonna throw
him.
the black man under the bus.
Well,
Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, and her dad was he seemed very I guess as sincere as he could be when he was saying, when I almost something, when I heard what she threatened to do to your fingers. So it seems like he does like her, I guess, enough. But he did call her a fetid moppet. So that's what makes me think you're right about her being a wild child. Because isn't that kind of what it means? A dirty child or something like that?
Yeah,
It means
dirty child, yeah.
yeah. So it could be very much like, you are my problem child, and I'm going to call you that again so that you can understand that you haven't changed. Like, you're still the same screw up that you've been. Maybe even worse now. I don't know. Where do you think it goes though? Like, what do we do? Is Irving really gone? Irving B?
Things we
Is
have
he
to look
gone?
forward to.
Gone?
So Irving B is definitely gone. So like we have to focus on like Irving on the outside and how he will possibly. So I guess one thing that we have to look at on the outside is like, does he locate Mark Scout and does he even trust Mark Scout on the outside? Probably not. So Irving B on the outside, what does he do? Second thing, Mark's reintegration, which I don't think is going to be fully resolved. I think he's going to be switching back and forth in opportune moments. Here's another thing though, which we haven't mentioned yet. Does Helena notice Mark switching at any moment? I mean, obviously she, was quite close to him. Did she notice, or did she pick up anything? So I think we have to keep an eye on that too going forward.
She picked up, she didn't know what it was, but she saw something. Yeah. And if there's any, so like, for instance, we all picked up that she was kind of weird, but I don't know if I would have considered that wasn't her if you didn't say, I don't think that's her. So I started looking at her like, maybe that's not her. You know what I mean? Like, you look at it differently. So if she saw something happen to Mark and she's thinking, oh man, he went away for a second. As soon as somebody says reintegration, her brain is going to immediately be like, oh, wait a minute. So anytime he goes away, that's probably what's going to pop in her mind. So that could help her figure it out. But that'll have to be Helena, right? That can't be Helly, because Helly doesn't know what it is. And also, they wouldn't know each other outside, right? I know Mark almost hit her once, but they still didn't know. I mean, of course, she knows who they are, but the rest of them don't know each other. So Irving B finding Mark would have to be because somebody says go find Mark,
which would bring Regabi back to the table.
There we go. Which makes sense if she's the one he's working with.
Yeah. Also, quick story. So like when season 2 was about to premiere, like randomly at like 8:00 one morning, I sent the clip from the Tonight Show with Colbert, and I was like, that isn't Helly. And I gathered that from that little 30-second clip. I was like, that's not Helly. And
I looked at her from the first episode, like, that's not her.
So I do want to say, of course, shout out to John Turturro, but shout out to Britt Lauer too, just being able, because while I think they played it right by like not trying to hide it, but also not trying to put it in your face, but also just putting it there like close enough to like kind of like make you question it the entire time. And I think this was the right choice. Yeah.
Just like Irving was.
Exactly. I think the way they played it was like very smart, and she did an excellent job, flipping but between those while like trying to act as someone acting as someone. Like I can imagine it's like quite difficult. But a dude playing a dude. Yeah.
That's exactly what she did.
When I was
good
associated, San Antonio, cook them collard greens and the cornbread.
Please stop.
What do you mean, you people? But no,
there's no way Ben didn't channel that. It was like, hey, Go watch this. This is what I want, but
Yes,
on a
this is
very
the
normal
assignment.
level.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
be Robert Downey Jr., but
Don't
be
be
this
insane.
character.
Do this.
But do this. Absolutely. Shout out to Ben.
Yes.
We see what you're
yes.
doing, sir. Good job.
Yes, we see it. We see it. But yeah, so we've established where we think it's gonna go next. But before we depart, I have some random facts for you that are like apropos of nothing. So often as I do, I look up like previous credits for like cast members on TV shows. Miss Wong, she is from Raleigh, North Carolina. She is a freshman at Northwestern University. But do you know what her only other acting credit is?
Tropic Thunder.
You will never guess. Never give you 100 guesses.
Give me a clue.
Joe, you were actually kind of warm. It's music related, but you'll never be able to guess.
Music related?
Whiplash?
She is the voice of Baby Shark.
No, I didn't. Never.
No.
Never. You could have given me 1,000,000 guesses, and I would not have guessed that.
She is the infamous
Never.
Baby Shark. Yes.
Gosh. No wonder she's so annoying and people don't realize why. It's in it. It's in her. Like it's in her.
Yeah.
Well, good for her. She shouldn't have to act again. She's purely doing this by choice, I'm assuming.
She's gonna be eating for life. Yeah.
Life. It's like Old MacDonald and Bingo.
Yes.
That's just forever there. Good job, girl. I guess it made my babies happy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it, everyone, for this recap. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. Let us know where you think it's going. That's all we have for this week.
That's it.
Go Birds.
I can't believe
Fly
it.
Eagles Fly.
I can't believe it.
Until next time.
Shout out to the writers before you go, because I just want to say, when I started this episode, I was like, what is this? Like, did I skip an episode? Did I miss something?
you know,
Do
I
I
was
not
there too.
remember
I was
what
like,
happened at the end? What are we doing? But y'all wrapped it up and brought it right around. I will stop doubting you one day. Great job. One day.
But that's it. Until next time. Peace.